Unveiling the Path to Success, an investigative journey into black male sustainable achievement in higher education. My name is AJ Walker. I work for the University of Wisconsin in Green Bay. I am a police lieutenant for our police department, and I am currently in a Doctor of Education program at UW La Crosse, Student Affairs and Administrative Leadership. So we're going to cover a number of different things today. This environment's presentation is all about black male student success. Black male students across America, as kind of the slide says, are struggling to find that academic success, but not just academic success in the sense of what's good for me right now, but a sustainable roadmap for future generations of black men, males who might be coming through higher education, and figuring out a way to support those successful endeavors and hopefully, be able to contribute to some of the future goings on, which we'll talk a little bit about later. So our roadmap today is going to be we're going to discuss the student success theory, which I think is important and pertinent for this presentation. Not to mention how we define student engagement and student involvement. We're going to talk about some key findings from some of the reading that I put together for this presentation. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the limitations from the studies that we use. I'll dive into the reference studies. We'll again go into more of the theory-based ideology surrounding this presentation. We'll conclude, and then we'll wrap it up with some peer-supported question and answer, which is really nice because I walked away from this with a number of different questions, and I'm hoping that I can pose some of those questions as we kind of make our way through a kind of an intensely hot socio-political climate and what that means for higher education and young college goers who look like me. All right, from the reading, engagement is defined by Ames as referring to kind of that meaningful involvement and active participation of students in various aspects of their college or university experience. These experiences encompass both physical and psychological energy that the students will devote to their academic pursuits and then meaningful learning opportunities that they might partake in while they're on campus. Engagement goes beyond kind of that mere participation and involvement, as it involves student actively interacting with their academic environment, whether that be with faculty, peers, or the campus community, or hopefully a combination of all of those things. It can include active and collaborative learning, student-faculty interaction, academic challenges, enriching educational experiences, and hopefully some type of supportive campus environment, which is kind of the purpose of this entire presentation. And lastly, that engagement is seen as an important factor for student success and satisfaction in higher education. And this can be linked to different academic performance metrics, and then just that overall college experience. Student involvement, very similar, a little bit different, and how I understand it, it is the involvement refers to the extent of a student's active participation and engagement in various aspects of campus life and academic experiences. And again, this is both those physical and psychological energies that students need to devote time to, right? But involvement can include just simple participation in activities such as clubs and organizations, sports, academic programs, community service, and kind of whatever whatever inspires them, or kind of whatever they want to gravitate towards. This is often seen as a way for students to find their niche, right? To find out what they like and to test the waters and try new things and different things like that and build connections. Um, Now, it's crucial to recognize that traditional notions of involvement may not be suitable or accessible to all students, particularly those from kind of historically underrepresented backgrounds, those minoritized communities, which kind of brings us back to where we are right now with sustainable success for black males on college campuses. The first article that I want to cite comes from Harper. And it specifically addresses the experiences of black male college achievers at PWIs. But this one is really important because I think it kind of works into the framework that we worked on in a class about critical race theory. Now, I will wholeheartedly admit that I'm probably going to be for the rest of my life still learning the nuances of critical race theory and other critical theories. So in this particular article, Harper he investigates how undergraduate students respond to racist stereotypes, and this is really important because there's a heavily involved resilience component to it. But how did these students find a way to be resilient in such a tense and sometimes racist atmosphere? So one of the things that he found in this particular article was that out of class engagement was very important to developing communication and some of those important confrontation skills that could effectively resist these racial stereotypes that they were encountering from not just white students, but probably from students in general. So the theoretical framework that was used in this study was based on the concept of stereotype threat, which in a number of different ways, and kind of as the article went on, it talked about these different random encounters, whether they be from students or even something as similar as information that you might get, or a way a professor or faculty might address these black males in class. So kind of going off that too, is there is some limitations to this particular study because it only talked to students, black male students at predominantly white institutions. So it didn't have the ability to reach out to other types of campuses, which is really important. So it kind of left me with a question of, how educators can explore the theorizing of race and racism in higher education. And kind of something I came up with, I guess educators can explore this theorizing by incorporating critical frameworks like critical race theory, right? I guess by utilizing CRT, educators can ask critical questions, and challenge some of those normative assumptions about student development, because this is what it boils down to: student development, right? If this stereotype threat framework holds up, then that could have a quite an impact on not only your academic achievement, but also your social involvement or engagement on a particular campus. One of the things also is it's a way of connecting with contemporary events, issues, contexts, to some of those the histories of racism. Next, I want to talk about the second article from Goings. It's a theoretical framework called the Black Male Adult Learner Success Theory. This was really interesting, and I liked it a lot. So I explained to you what it is. It is about studying the success of black men as adult learners in higher education. The theory aims to change the negative way people talk about black men and adult learners, and instead focus on their strengths and assets. It looks at how their experiences and environments that they're in can affect, the academic success, our academic success. Um, this theory is based on a scholar identity model and the bioecological system theory by Uri um, Profenbrenner. I think that's how you say it. Um, and it also mentions that there's not a lot of research specifically focused on black male adult learners, and it highlights some of these factors like advising and access to supportive professors and communities that can contribute to their successes. So this particular theory suggests that it can help researchers study black male adult learners in a more of a positive and productive way. It also recommends that universities conduct surveys and interviews with black male adult learners to better understand their experiences and needs. I think this goes a lot into kind of our earlier thing we talked about, which is your student engagement and your student involvement, and how there are informal opportunities to be able to gauge what's going on with black males on campus, especially when you have a population, this minoritized community that it's documented as it's not necessarily struggling in the sense that black men on campus can't do the work, but there's a host of environmental factors that need to be deeply looked at to provide a better picture of how to help this particular group be successful. So the ultimate goal of this particular framework is to create policies and practices that break down barriers that black men face and support their success in higher education. In terms of future research, the article suggests using the BMALST as a framework for studying black male adult learners. One of the important sections covered in this particular framework were the social and familial factors that were identified as important in cultivating academic success. This framework was presented as a response to the gap in the literature on black male adult learners, and it's aimed at guiding kind of anti-deficit research. But I think that this is the slide that is the most important to me, and it is Black Males' Decision to Teach, which is an article that was written by Wallace and Gagan for 2020. But this is a really important part of, I guess, the overall conversation of sustainable success amongst black male college students for this generation, for next generation, year after year. So here we find ourselves at what is the current representation of black male teachers in America, and why is it concerning? The current representation is sitting somewhere around 1.9, close to 2%. The lack of diversity is concerning because black males are overrepresented in special education, disciplinary actions, poor academic reports. These students face numerous hardships, and obviously I'm trying to focus on the K through 12 environmental atmosphere right now, right? Having positive role models in the form of male educators of colors is crucial in nurturing the development of a positive self-image for males of color, and can significantly impact their academic achievement. This underrepresentation of male teachers of color is further compounded by the growing diversity of student populations in public schools. The National Center for Education Statistics reports that 47% of school-age kids in 2013 identified as children of color. The lack of diversity among educators means that critical conversations concerning, what people would deem oppressive policies or structural delivery techniques or classroom management approaches and assessment methods, these things can't be adequately addressed. After reading through this particular article, I was interesting to know that there's a decline in enrollment at HBCUs and how this is a concern because HBCUs themselves have done a significant job at educating future black educators, right? And I think one of the most alarming things I read out of the article is that we're nearing I think somewhere around a million white teachers will be retirement or will come up to retirement age, and it is estimated that 300,000 black teachers will be needed to enter the field to close the diversity gap. That is crazy to me. So, moreover, there's some societal opinions and media depictions of males of color, especially African American males that are African American black males that are consistently negative. And this again kind of goes back a little bit earlier into the stereotype threat framework or theory, I should say, and how it can affect academic performance. Right, black males often face lower expectations of academic performance in a classroom setting, and this can lead to diminished performance and kind of decrease their chances of completing high school. So there's just a number of things. The treatment of males of color within a classroom has been cited as a factor that may deter African American males from considering teaching as an opportunity. June 2023, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that race-based admissions in higher education was unconstitutional. The case, Students for Fair Admissions Incorporated versus President and Fellow of Harvard College, will have an unforeseen impact on minoritized communities, and particularly black male students. What are your thoughts? And, honestly, feel free to argue for or against the ruling. To my second question, and this one kind of goes back to the stereotype threat and even has a great deal of a foothold in kind of the affirmative action ruling that just came down. How do black men navigate stereotypes in academic environments, particularly in STEM fields? And I tell you, there's a great argument to be had about how affirmative action, in some respects, routinely damaged black males in STEM fields. But that's another conversation to have.